Welcome to my channel, English IN Story Sleep. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't forget to like and leave a nice comment. Love you all, thank you, and enjoy.
The kingdom was called Urul, a land that once bathed in golden sunlight, where rivers flowed pure honey, and mountains embraced clouds with pristine white peaks. But 20 years ago, the gray fog crept in. It was no ordinary fog. It absorbed colors, stole laughter, and made hearts heavy as lead. King Azam lay ill with an incurable disease, the malady of sorrow and oblivion. Princess Noor, a girl of 18, had never known the true form of the sun. Her black hair, long as night, and her eyes, holding a strange sparkle, were the only living things in the cold palace. On a stormy night, where thunder struck the castle windows as if demanding entry, Noor snuck into the forbidden wing. The forbidden wing had been closed since her birth. She stood before the giant wooden door, on which silently screaming faces were carved. She pushed the door, and it emitted a screech that awoke the echoes of the sleeping palace. Dust danced in the trembling beam of her candle. In the middle of the room, on a base of black marble, there was a glass box, and inside, it was her, the necklace. It was no ordinary jewelry. It was a chain of ancient titanium, from which dangled a blue opal jewel that pulsed. Yes, it pulsed as if it had a heart beating slowly. Noor extended her trembling hand. As soon as her fingers touched the glass, it shattered and scattered like diamond dust. She picked up the necklace, and suddenly the candle went out. Utter darkness ensued. Noor froze in place. She heard a sound, not in her ears, but inside her head. A hoarse voice, ancient as time. Who dares awaken the pulse? Who dares carry the burden? I am Noor, daughter of Azam, heir of Ural, she said, her voice trembling but firm. The jewel ignited with a bright blue light that revealed the corners of the room. And on the wall in front of her, fiery writing began to slowly appear, red glowing letters. The first riddle. I am everywhere, but you cannot see me. I have the power to kill kings and demolish mountains, yet I am light as a feather and have no hand or mouth. If imprisoned, I die, and if released, I scream. What am I? Noor looked around in panic. The walls began to narrow. The ceiling began to slowly descend with the sound of huge mechanical gears working in secret. The necklace warned her. Answer, or you will become part of the castle walls forever. Noor thought with frantic speed. Kills kings and demolishes mountains? Is it time? No, time doesn't scream. Light as a feather. Is it smoke? No, smoke doesn't die if imprisoned. If released, I scream. The ceiling was very close to her head. She could clearly see the cracks in the rocks. Her breathing quickened. The wind! Yes, the wind screams in storms, and if we imprison air, it dies. Noor screamed as loud as she could, "The wind!" The ceiling suddenly stopped inches from her hair. The blue light in the necklace turned emerald green. A secret door in the back wall opened, revealing a spiral staircase descending into the depths of the earth, where the darkness was even denser. Noor descended the stairs, the necklace lighting her way. The humidity was suffocating, and the smell of mold filled the place. She reached a huge circular hall. But this hall was different. Its walls were covered with hundreds of mirrors. Noor looked into the mirrors and froze in place. The mirrors did not reflect her current image. In the first mirror, she saw herself as a hideous old hag sitting on a broken throne. In the second mirror, she saw herself as a child crying blood. In the third mirror, she saw a red-eyed monster wearing her dress. And suddenly, her reflections emerged from the mirrors. Yes, distorted copies of Noor began to come out and crawl towards her. The old hag version said in a hoarse voice, "Give me the necklace. It is a burden upon you." The monster version snarled, "I will tear it from your neck." Noor retreated backward, but the way was blocked. The necklace began to heat around her neck, and the voice returned again in her head. The second riddle: to cross safely and escape illusions. Find the mirror that does not lie. It has no glass, nor a golden frame. It shows what is within you, not what is on your exterior. Where do you find this mirror? The copies were approaching. The monster's claws were centimeters from her face. Noor closed her eyes, thinking, "A mirror that does not lie, has no glass, shows what's inside." She looked at a small, stagnant pool of water in the middle of the hall. But water also reflects the exterior. No, material thinking will kill me. She remembered her late mother's words. "O Noor, the only truth lies in your eyes when you fear nothing." Noor looked at the necklace itself, at its clear jewel. Then she looked at the monsters and said, "You are not real. You are my fears." Then, instead of searching for a mirror in the room, she looked within herself. She placed her hand on her heart and closed her eyes completely, ignoring the terrifying images. She said in a whisper, "Conscience or soul." A moment of terrifying silence. The glass of all mirrors shattered simultaneously with a resounding explosion. The monster and the old hag vanished like smoke. A bridge of light appeared, extending across the dark hall, leading to a giant stone gate with an ancient map of the kingdom drawn on it. Noor crossed the bridge. She emerged from the tunnels to find herself in the silent forest. The trees here were not made of wood, but of petrified bones of giant animals. The sky above was purple, and the moon was split in half. She walked for hours. Fatigue began to take its toll. And suddenly, the ground shook. From among the bone trees, the forest guardian appeared. It was neither human nor animal. It was a being made of rocks and dead trees, over 10 meters tall, with eyes like burning embers. The guardian raised a massive staff and blocked the path. "I am Ghoul, guardian of bones," he said in a voice like grinding rocks.
Only one who possesses the key of life may pass. Noor raised the necklace. Is this the key? The ghoul laughed, and rocks fell from his body. That is merely a tool. The key is the answer. Answer my riddle, or your bones will become part of my forest. The third riddle. I build bridges of silver and earth. I have no hammer, no nails, no doors. I hunt without nets and walk without feet. In every corner you find me, and in the dark I sleep. What am I?
Noor looked around. The bone trees were filled with something shimmering in the light of the split moon. Threads, very fine and strong threads. She thought, silver bridges? Hunting without nets? She imagined who weaves in corners. Noor said with confidence, "The spider!" The ghoul froze. The fire in his eyes extinguished. He slowly knelt on one knee, and his rocky body transformed into fine sand, making way for a new path, a path covered with rare black flowers she had never seen before. The path led her to the entrance of a huge botanical maze. The walls were moving thorny plants. Yes, the walls changed places every few minutes. Noor entered the maze. The necklace began to pulse very quickly, as if afraid. "What's wrong?" Noor asked the necklace. For the first time, the necklace spoke audibly. "Here lies your enemy, not a riddle, but a hunter." Noor heard footsteps behind her, heavy, damp steps. She turned, found nothing, but the shadow behind her was longer than it should be. "Who's there?" From the shadows emerged a man wearing a cloak made of fog. His face was hidden, but his eyes glowed yellow. He was the Lord of Shadows, the sorcerer who cursed the kingdom. The sorcerer said in a soft, frightening voice, "Hand over the necklace, little princess, and I will restore the colors to the kingdom, but for a small price, your memory." Noor hesitated. The offer was tempting. Saving the kingdom in exchange for forgetting who she was? But she remembered the previous riddles. Power lies in knowledge, in truth. "You lie!" Noor screamed. The sorcerer raised his hand, and the maze's thorns transformed into giant snakes attacking Noor. Noor ran. The maze changed. Paths were blocked. The snakes approached. She found herself trapped against a dead-end wall. The necklace screamed in her mind, "There is one last riddle to open the secret gate in the wall. Hurry!" The writing appeared on the dead-end wall. The fourth riddle, riddle of survival. Something that, the more you take from it, the bigger it gets. And the more you add to it, the smaller it gets and disappears. You see it on the ground, but not in the sky. What is it? The snakes were one step away. Their fangs dripped black venom. The sorcerer laughed in the background. Noor screamed as she hit the wall with her hand. The hole! The wall immediately split open, swallowing Noor into a massive water slide that propelled her away from the maze, leaving the sorcerer screaming in anger behind her. Noor fell into a warm lake. When she surfaced, she gasped in astonishment. She was no longer on the ground. She was above the clouds. Before her was a city floating in the air, its buildings made of crystal and gold. The city's inhabitants had transparent wings. This was the City of Aether, the necklace's original home. But the city was silent. The inhabitants were petrified like statues. In the center of the city, a very high tower. Noor ascended the tower. At the top, she found the Aether Sage, a very old man who was not petrified, but trapped inside a time sphere. Time stopped for him. To free the sage and learn how to definitively defeat the Lord of Shadows, she must open the time lock. The lock was not a key, but a mathematical riddle. The fifth riddle. My number is the key to time. If you multiply me by 4, then add 8, then divide me by 2, then subtract 6, the result will be the same number you started with. What is my number? Noor sat thinking. Mathematics was not her strong suit, but her life depended on this. Let's assume the number is x. X times 4 plus 8 equals 4x plus 8. Divide by 2 equals 2x plus 4. Subtract 6 equals 2x minus 2. The result must be equal to the original number x. So 2x minus 2 equals x. Move x to the other side. 2x minus x equals 2. So x equals 2. Noor said, "The number is 2." The time sphere shattered. The sage sighed in relief and opened his eyes, which radiated light. He looked at Noor and said, "Well done, daughter of Earth. You have passed the test of courage, the test of truth, and the test of intelligence. But the next test is the hardest, the test of sacrifice." The sage gave Noor the wind cloak, a cloak woven from cloud threads that allowed her to descend safely. She bid him farewell and jumped from the edge of the floating city. The air struck her face forcefully, and the necklace glowed like a falling star. As she approached the ground, she saw a horrifying sight. The Lord of Shadows had not waited. He had unleashed his new army, the Black Glass Army. Soldiers made of volcanic glass, unaffected by ordinary swords. Any blow to them causing them to shatter into sharp shards that killed the attacker. They surrounded her at the Echo Valley. Thousands of glass soldiers advanced in terrifying silence. There was no escape. The necklace vibrated strongly, and luminous words appeared in the air before Noor. The only solution to stop this army was to solve the sound riddle to activate the disintegration wave. The sixth riddle. I am not a living creature, but I have 5 fingers. If you touch me, I feel nothing, but I can strike you with force. You find me with nights, and in winter I am a hand warmer. What am I? The glass soldiers raised their spears. Noor thought quickly. 5 fingers, not a living creature, found with nights. She looked at her hand, then remembered what knights wear for protection. Noor screamed, "The glove!" Suddenly, a massive sound wave erupted from the necklace, echoing through the valley. The wave was of such precise frequency that it shattered the soldier's glass. The terrifying army transformed in a single second into a pile of soft black sand.
Noor continued her way towards the king's castle, her father's, but she had to cross the river of oblivion. The waters of this river were purple, and anyone who drank from it or touched it would forget their name and purpose. There was no bridge. The river guardian appeared, a sad, transparent specter. The guardian said, "For the body to cross, the soul must cross first. Answer the riddle of nature, and the bridge will appear."
The seventh riddle. I am always hungry. You must feed me to live. But beware, if you water me, I die immediately. What am I? Noor looked at the fire torches held by the guardian. The equation was simple, but deadly. She said with confidence, "Fire!" As soon as she uttered the word, the river waters ignited. Yes, the water transformed into a cold flame that froze and formed a solid ice bridge. Noor crossed safely, but she felt a chill run through her veins. The Lord of Shadows was very close. Noor reached the palace. It was destroyed, and thorny plants covered the throne. On the throne sat the Lord of Shadows. This time he revealed his face. It was a shock. The Lord of Shadows possessed the same face as her father, King Azam, but it was disfigured by darkness. He said in a terrifying voice, "I am your father's despair. I am his sorrow that materialized and gained being. To defeat me, you must kill your father." Noor froze. Kill her father? Impossible! The necklace whispered in her mind. Darkness is not defeated by the sword, but by light. Solve the riddle to know the true weapon. The eighth riddle. I fly without wings and cry without eyes. Wherever I go, darkness falls, followed by light. The clouds are my mother, and the earth is my father. What am I? Noor looked out the shattered window. The sky was filled with black clouds. Flies without wings, cries without eyes, rain. Darkness falls, clouds, then light, sun after rain or rainbow. Noor screamed, "The cloud!" At that moment, Noor understood the hint. The cloud hides the sun, but does not extinguish it. Her father, the sun, exists behind the darkness, the cloud. She should not kill him, but rather rain mercy upon him to dispel the darkness. Noor did not raise a sword. Instead, she approached the Lord of Shadows. He raised his hand to strike her with a black lightning bolt. Noor screamed, "You are not my father! You are merely a shadow! And a shadow cannot exist without light, nor can it exist in full light." The necklace began to glow with unbearable heat. It was time for the merging. The Lord of Shadows screamed, "Stop! I will give you one last riddle. If you fail to solve it, I will swallow the world into a black hole." The ninth riddle, the impossible riddle. I am the beginning of the end, and the end of time and space. I am the beginning of plants, and the end of humans. You see me in sleep, and you don't see me in wakefulness. And I am found in the middle of year. What am I? Noor thought quickly. The beginning of the end. Nihaya, noon. The end of time. Zaman, noon. The beginning of plants. Nabat, noon. The end of humans. Insan, found in the middle of the year. Sana, noon. She looked at him with a victorious smile and said, "The letter noon." The Lord of Shadows became disoriented. His power began to fade because his logic collapsed before her intelligence. Noor seized the opportunity, took the necklace from her neck, and instead of using it as a weapon, placed it around the neck of the Lord of Shadows, her enchanted father. As soon as the necklace touched the king's neck, the blue jewel screamed and emitted a white light that engulfed the entire kingdom from east to west. The light was so bright that the bone mountains turned green again, and the waters became clear. The black darkness evaporated from the king's body, and the Lord of Shadows fell, vanishing like smoke. King Azam fell to the ground, returned old but alive, his eyes clear. Noor ran and hugged him. "Father, Noor, is that you?" whispered the king. But Noor looked at the necklace. The blue jewel had turned into an ordinary gray stone and crumbled to dust. The necklace had sacrificed its magic to save the king. 1 month later, a grand celebration was held in Ural. The sun was shining for the first time in 20 years. Noor no longer needed the necklace, for she discovered that the power was not in the stone, but in her courage and intelligence in solving riddles. Noor stepped out onto the palace balcony, and the crowds cheered. And in the sky, white clouds formed into a giant noon letter, a memorial to the adventure that changed everything. The end.